Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Thursday Throwdown. My name is Dr. Fish.
And
I,
I am Vegas Dad.
yeah, and I will be your op, but I will also be one of your casters. Dank is Dad joining me up for this one. Got a banger of a match in Hero Series for us to go over. We have Mick versus JR Juggerlaw. I have the bands already, so we don't get to speculate. Mick will not be playing Druid, and JR will not be playing Shaman. But we can go through. You can read off the rest of the classes, and we can kind of do a little bit of intro into this before I send the players off.
Right, so with the Shaman ban, JR still has Druid, Hunter, and Rogue left. And with his Druid ban, Mick has Priest, Rogue, and Shaman. So I think that from this ban, my read for JR is that he's expecting an aggressive lineup out of Mick, and banning the Druid could help maybe an aggressive Hunter deck stay on the board, and maybe the Shaman might not be so dependent on freezes. What do you think, Dr. Fish?
Yeah, um, I get that same type of read. Um, Druid is typically good into like aggressive Druid decks are typically good into most of JR's lineup. Um, Even with the Shaman band, or especially with the Shaman band. I mean, JR could have said, okay, well, if it's aggressive Druid, I have my own aggro Druid. Um, and if anything, I can have a good Shaman deck into that deck. I'm not 100% sure what these players are gonna go with for decks, but I'm curious about because I think Priest is kind of a has always for the last weeks has kind of been a wild card. Um, the Rogue, I mean, there is actually a few different rogues now, with Quest Rogue kind of getting a bit more popularity.
Hmm.
And I am curious. I wonder if what type of shaman Mick will bring out. It looks like with these decks that I would, I could see Bolner OTK actually being pretty good here, depending on the Druid.
Mm. Like Bolner and Burn both look really
Yes,
solid.
for sure. Yeah. Um,
And and what I want to know is how many duels treasures do you think we're going to see in tonight's games?
um, I think JR might pull out the spell Druid, the Druid deck with Kazakusan. And we'll get some treasures potentially. Um, Otherwise, I don't think mixed decks unless he wants to go with the Dragon Priest. Is
Mm.
especially with the Druid band, I don't think that's going to be um particularly going to be the deck that we'll see. Um, just for everyone's note, I have sent the players off to play. So JR will be our first to spectate on my screen, and Mick will be on the top. So we're getting ready for pretty good match. Um, yeah, two competitors. With having the same record in the season, but so this will be a close one. This will determine who ends this regular season with a winning record and who ends it with a record below 500. All right,
Oh,
let's look for some eyeballs. Oh, it looks like JR does not have a spectate on. I will just quickly message him before we get into game.
right.
Here we
And
go.
there he is. All right, let's see what our players have tonight. We have the Hunter versus the Shaman, and
Okay.
it is Quest Hunter.
Oh, okay. That makes sense from JR. Quest Hunter is actually pretty good into Shaman from what I've seen.
Mm. Although with this hand, I think JR might have a little bit of a slow start.
Mhm.
Not a lot of damaging spells. And while going first definitely helps JR, I think that Mick starting off with the primordial studies is just excellent for him.
Agreed.
Oof. That lines up nice. Dragonbane's shot, I think, solves all of JR's problems, at least from what we can see on Mick's side.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the new. We have 2 new cards from the mini set in JR's hand, and I think both of them could play a huge role.
Yeah, agreed. I've been tampering with this a little, with this specific deck a little bit. Um, so I'm not like 100, and I'm not necessarily 100% sure. If Furious Howl is that amazing in the deck, I think at some points it can be. For sure, because drawing extra cards is quite nice. But we see Mick going for Primordial on 1, picks a Blood Mage Thalnos. Meanwhile, JR is just going to end up placing a trap.
Yep. And I think for JR, the trap is probably just a little bit speculative because he still doesn't quite know what sort of shaman Mick is yet.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think while Burn's likely, if this is some sort of board-based deck with freeze, it might make sense to just go for the trap. Otherwise, though, like, just looking at how this is play out, I don't think we'll see anything out of this freeze trap until at least the mid game. So multicaster as well. And yeah. So I think we'll probably see the Wild Paw Cavern here.
Oh yeah, very likely going Wild Paw is a very solid play here for Mick.
Mm-hmm. And what's weird, if you haven't played Hearthstone in a while, is we have a Hunter deck here with a glut of card draw and a glut of value that they just can't spend, which is not something you see every day.
Mm-hmm.
Furious Howl, Multicaster, and Dragonbane Shot are all sort of at odds with each other. Right, we see the coin and the cavern. Both players have their Multicaster drawing 1 card currently. More burn.
Magic? Yeah, I've heard of it.
All right. So we see the Multicaster right away. Just get 1 card for Wound Prey. And already that's 3 damaging spells in hand to progress that quest to stage 2.
Yes, that's quite nice.
Strong start for JR, and I think Mick here is probably thinking about Explosive Trap.
Mm-hmm.
See the Wind Chill. Multicaster is set to draw 2, and there's the next one. Mick also has a handful of draw. It's just not what we've seen out of these 2 classes in years past. All right, Serpent Shrine Portal.
So he now learns that JR is running freezing traps in his deck. So we're going to go ahead and see Thalnos plus a bolt on the 3/4, it looks like.
Yep.
Gonna try and stick board.
Another Furious Howl.
Yeah, those howls are gonna. I believe these howls are gonna clog up. Are just kind of gonna end up clogging the hand. The Dragonbane Shot, since it can reproduce itself, if it gets the exact value. So JR is just gonna use it as 2 mana, draw 1, which isn't too terrible. Wound Prey here gonna set his hero power to targetable.
Yep. I think here I'm not a huge fan of that line. I think that the freezing trap does help a little bit with tempo, but
Yeah.
I think that starting to spend burn is important because if you leave the shaman unchecked, it will find a way to deal with your life total very quickly once things ramp up.
Agreed.
Well, the turn here is a little bit awkward.
I would agree. Yeah. He
Yeah,
picked.
those multi. Oh, Scar, go ahead.
No, I just he picked up Sleep Breaker on the draw.
And those multicasters are drawing 3 cards, so.
Yeah, he doesn't want to mill.
Knowing about that Dragonbane shot, you also don't want to expose a Sleep Breaker here.
Agreed. Yeah. Does he know about? Well, I guess he hasn't seen it. As far as I know.
I think the Dragonbane shot was the first card played to proc the stage of the quest.
So Mick is just gonna go ahead and play the multicaster regardless and go to 10 cards in hand.
Yep.
Then he'll Freezing Trap, which will remove the minion from the board, but whatever. I don't want to be too fussed about it. He got another one coming in here, and there's no more Freezing Traps. I wonder if he kind of expected freezing and just didn't want to put a 5-mana 3/4 in his hand again.
I think that was exactly what was going through Mick's mind.
Yeah.
So.
And JR has a lot that he can work with here. Can activate a Dragonbane once.
Well, we can see some quite a bit of activation.
Yeah,
here,
you can get a lot of quest activation here to set himself up to get closer to the quest. I think my only worry is that it might be. It could just be maybe a bit too slow. I don't know when Shaman's breakpoint is to just go, but he has an overcharge in hand. But
I like this play here.
Yeah, so he'll clear he should just go ahead and clear the 3/4 with his 0 power.
Yep.
This is fine, for sure. I like this line.
Oh, and there goes a Zapper.
Zapper going away. Yeah, it's something you don't necessarily like to see. Mick has enough things that he can at least likely start emptying out his hand a little bit.
Definitely. I think the play with the most pressure here for him is probably the Wild Paw Cavern into the Sleepbreaker, but there are lots of possible lines. We could see a Serpent Shrine Portal turn, maybe both of them, but saving burn's important, and I think the Cavern is just at its best the sooner you can get it out, so I think that Cavern Sleepbreaker is what I would expect, but flexible hand, tricky turn.
Yes.
And JR is going to have a lot of burn on deck very soon. So we do see Cavern and Sleepbreaker.
Yep. Exactly as you thought.
Yep.
This can get dealt with Dragonbane shots and can put Tavish in hand.
So I think here
we're gonna activate Spring the Trap instead.
Yeah, I like that. I like getting the secret out into play here. An explosive.
I think I still very much like using a Dragonbane shot. The one that you got back, yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
I think personally there, if I were JR, I might have thought about sending that one to the face.
Potentially, yeah, because you have the other one that you can just use to keep creating things later. And you're not worried necessarily too much about your face damage. Now, we do see a Lightning Bloom. So
a full hand here.
There's just not a lot of spell damage for Mick to really work with. Like he's gonna use Bloom here to get to 9 mana.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see the multicaster and the overdraft come out later in the turn, but
gotcha.
Mick is probably mulling whether he wants to use Serpent Shrine Portal or Lightning Bolt to get things started. And I like the choice of the portal.
Agreed, yeah.
Yep. All right, we're just going to see all the burn come out here. And then we'll see the overdraft next turn.
Ooh, he got the 3-mana 1/5 for Paladin.
Yeah, if he had better spells than Wind Chill, he could maybe force some real damage through with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing is that requires to get buffed itself, so something Paladin, something that Shaman doesn't have.
Yeah. I think JR's choices here are a little bit strange. I think he's trying to suggest to Mick that it's not Explosive Trap, but with 2 freezing traps out of the way and knowing that JR is running multicaster, I think that Mick can probably do the math.
Yes.
So we're definitely going to see the overdraft.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a lightning bolt first,
Perhaps.
or a wind chill just to keep the Tavish tied up. Mick is thinking this one through.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Testing for the trap first is very smart on Mick's part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now he can kind of figure out what he wants to do. Burning will burn, overdraft.
I think Mick is a little bit under that time pressure now.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, definitely.
Frostbite.
Frostbite's pretty interesting. Yeah, Frostbite's a good pickup here.
And
But we're just gonna
another
wind chill.
lightning bloom.
We're just gonna wind chill here for sure. Double wind chill to double draw. I like it. I like it.
All right. And an arcane shot. So let's count the burn. So he can play all those spells. That is. Wait a minute. Should he be going face?
I think he should. Besides, because he could have. He's just so worried about board, but he's gonna die to burn.
I think so. And had he gone face here, he had 7 damage. So he had the hero power for 2, 4 damaging spells that did 9 total. Got 4 more hero powers.
It was close.
JR just needed. I think, was 2 damage off lethal with just what he had in his hand. That's so unfortunate.
Yeah. I don't. Does he? Will he overdraft? I think kills him here. It's very close.
So I don't believe right now that Mick has an overdraft, but Frostbite.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, there it is. Okay, just drew it. So
okay, yes.
Lightning Bloom, Frostbite. I think we need to see something off the Wind Chill or the.
Okay. Yeah, he can start with the Wind Chill. You're right.
Yeah, because I think though that if Mick isn't able to pick up this lethal here, it should be a pretty clean win for JR. But
he knows what he has left in his deck. Oh, Primo Studies. Okay, there's a. I guess.
Oh no. All right.
Yeah, this should be it. This should be lethal. Yeah, he can just bloom out and play that, and that should be it.
Just enough.
Yeah, he knew. I think he knew that his only remaining spell was exactly
Primordial Studies.
Primordial Studies. So very smart to know that he had a chance with a low costing minion.
Very well played game from Mick, and I think the cards just came out in the wrong order for JR. Tough loss.
I just had the wrong classes. So JR's Hunter is eliminated. This is Hero Series format, last hero standing. So Mick will continue on the Burn Shaman, and JR will play. JR will be able to play one of his other decks. Both players have to consider queue order. It's very important. Well, JR has to consider what deck he wants to queue into Mick's Shaman here. I'm wondering. I mean,
I think it will probably be the Rogue.
I would guess. Yeah, I think it's very possible we see a Rogue from JR.
And now we will see.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like JR did, in fact, bring the Rogue. And it is Quest.
Okay, yeah.
And we get to see another new card right there, the SI7 Smuggler.
Yeah. I think that this shaman being the burn shaman, I think this puts Mick in a very, very good position into the rogue. And into kind of the I feel like there has to be a druid deck that can kind of deal with it with this deck. But it just depends on what JR brought.
Yeah, I think that if JR had brought ramp or a druid with more armor gain, he probably would have brought it out here.
Agreed, yeah. So, but we'll see. Mick with the Wild Paw Caverns early again. And this time also has the Dungeoneer. JR doesn't have any 2-drop SI7s. But he has a decent amount of the 3-costers between the Operative Agent and the new SI7 Smuggler, which for right now actually counts
itself
yes. In creating a minion. We do know that will be fixed. Okay.
Yes, but
yeah.
not until after the Masters Tour.
Indeed. So Mick could, yeah, I mean, is always an early coin play if he really thinks that it's important to play Dungeoneer, but I expected him to just hero power there. But he could have also opted to do nothing in case of something like an operative, so that way it would be targetable with a wind chill. But he's just gonna coin out. But he's just coining out the caverns here, and that's quite a bit for this for the rogue.
Yeah, I think in that spot I would have liked JR pushing damage with the dagger, but the SI Extortion's a nice draw. Gives you a clean way to answer the staggered and just push more damage with your operative.
Yes.
Oh, okay. We're gonna see the operative be used, I think, to clean up this.
Okay, yeah, the operative is gonna clean up the
spurs and staggered. Yes,
staggered. Okay.
This guy's toast.
Right.
I think
I think
some slightly different line. You push one more damage if you SI Extortion them and attack with your face. Even though you're taking damage, you're dealing 4, and you have a 2, and you just have a 2/4 on the board.
Definitely. I think that this early damage for JR and forcing Mick to use his burn to deal with minions is so important.
I think, I mean, it's likely that we could just see Primordial plus Wind Chill. Because that's a solid line. But Frostbite would make JR's stuff cost more.
Definitely.
So you could always consider that, but I think the Dungeoneer line is a bit more solid.
Getting on board represents more damage for you, and it helps you cycle.
Cycle is important.
That Informant is very nice here. I like that play.
I like it as well. It's gonna be, I believe, a 6/6.
So what's the rub?
Yep, and then you get to see another Spy Gizmo.
Yes, let's see what Gizmo comes out.
Yep, and that's
Another
actually very nice here.
Another Noggin Fogger generator.
Yep. Now, I wonder now if we will see the Lightning Bloom Snowfall Guardian. I think I like that line very much on Mick's side.
I do. I like that line a lot. And he does have the option to attack beforehand into face if he's going to make that line. Or he can opt to save the minions to let them attack next turn. But I don't think it particularly matters either way.
I think I like using the stagger just to get the freeze, but...
Okay, so I guess he's probably going to lead studies, and I would guess maybe lead studies and then do it.
Yeah, maybe he'll use get the zapper on board here as well.
Sure.
Or hold it back, but...
Yeah, he's gonna bloom out this, and then he can actually just play the zapper afterwards, and it can attack next turn if he wants. But he's gonna opt to hold it. He's gonna save it for a big turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just with landslide. And I think here it's the SI7 Assassin is really the only threat.
Like
yeah.
breakfast.
It's the Shattered Rumbler.
Yeah, it's a nice hit.
I honestly wonder if Mick has a kill threat here. with his board and with overdraft. I think he has a kill threat.
So
He
we see
has
16 damage on board. The Zapper plus Lightning Bolt is 4, plus the Frostbite is
it's
another 4,
it's close.
and then
He's
the Overdraft gets in for just 4 plus 1, so 5. So it's just off.
okay. Yeah. All right. That makes sense.
I think though that this actually is a little bit awkward for Mick, because if JR had the Battlegrounds Battlemaster right now, then
It could die.
Mick would actually be facing a game over.
He would be, yeah.
So difficult turn, and with the landslide only capped out at just not enough damage.
Okay, we're gonna see a trade. Oh, a trade into the other overdraft.
Oh, tough break for Mick.
Yeah, I kind of just still want to see maybe Zapper landslide.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's totally
Yeah,
fine.
I think that's
Zapper,
exactly what he
landslide,
plays,
lightning
and he
bolt.
gets the bloom out. Yeah. I mean, he has to just kind of hope that the Battlegrounds isn't in hand.
Yep.
No
And
Battlegrounds
now
battle, but JR can trade for it.
that's what he'll do. He'll
Okay.
go looking.
Oh, you scared me. He had the... Alright, he did not find it. So now he can go for the Foxy play. But he scared me. It looked like he was going to drop Foxy and not have a potential Battlegrounds Battlemaster turn. Yeah, I
So
think...
is there anything that JR can do to get out of this jam?
I don't think so. He has to... Well, he can clear the... He can clear the 8-8 with his 8-2. He can clear a 3-4. With that, and I don't think he has anything else. I don't think he has a way to stop damage lethal from hand.
Right.
Because Mick is overloaded for 2 crystals.
Yeah, I think there. Well, maybe if JR could have secret passage and found Shadow Step and some sort of combo card, but
Yeah, Mick
not to be.
Yeah,
Mick is moving on.
gets the lethal, finds the win.
Honorable.
It's an honorable kill. Mick playing the matchup very well. JR was very close. I mean, like you said, he had a chance there. The Battlegrounds Battlemaster would have actually completely flipped the game and would have caused JR to win.
Right.
So they both played to kind of their respective outs. I don't think even the early damage play really mattered too much in the end.
Yeah.
But Mick's gonna have his Shaman for the last one, and JR has Druid. We'll see what type of Druid deck this is.
It looks like it's the Kazakhstan Spell Druid. Oh
Right.
boy.
It is. We're gonna possibly see some treasures.
So, what thoughts do you have on them making changes to the treasures from duels to standard? I know it really disappointed me the first time I played Gnomish Army Knife and saw Rush.
I don't have that much experience with duels. I know there's a few things that are just so crazy in duels, but like a lot of the super powerful treasures, like they like the whole format. There's so many super powerful things. I think that it fits. I think that the thing having Rush fits with their philosophy of charge not really being something they necessarily want in standard.
Well, that's fair, but most of the treasures have actually been buffed.
Oh, okay.
Believe it or not.
Really? That's cool.
I think that the treasures that do effectively give charge are the ones that have been nerfed.
Mhm.
But most of them actually are a little bit stronger than their counterparts in duels, which really says something about how standard is these days.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense for sure.
Right. Looks like JR has a good chance to set up an overgrowth, and Scale of Onyxia is... I don't know if it's so great in this matchup, but that's a card that's really impressed me since the patch.
Yeah, I wasn't so sure about it when I was looking over the cards, but it's proved to be... It's like, I've played the deck, and when you can play that card against aggro, it's just so good. You can wipe a whole board of like lower cost things.
Absolutely, and man, Soul of the Forest. Oh boy, uh, Jr. is really in on this token plan, and I don't think that's going to work out so well into Snowfall Guardian.
Yeah, there's no caverns in hand, so we're just gonna see Primal Dungeoneer. Mixed hand has really been a bit slower. Doesn't quite pick up another Snowfall Guardian, but he does have Guardian plus Macaw, and that is a game plan for him potentially. To use.
Definitely.
So
And I don't know if Mick knows it yet, but from our seed, it's very clear that that will be an effective way to finish off this match.
for sure.
And
Yeah, and that can come down as early as next turn now.
yeah,
And
Yep.
and I don't think JR will keep himself board locked, obviously. But where like I think Arbor Up can still get played, but that board's just essentially never gonna be unfrozen. Brucon of the Elements picked up the card we hadn't quite seen yet out of mixed deck. We're gonna Bloom Macaw.
Oh.
Okay.
So I don't think that Mick is actually expecting the tokens. And then looks like we'll have a
Finds it?
coin cavern.
Yeah,
And,
I think. I mean, this deals with it kind of well enough. I mean, you have to. Bear kind of can't ignore this board. He has to trade off with it, which means that he's still gonna be out of. He's still not gonna have much
Well,
of
if
a
he
board.
If he goes scale here, there's no situation where you can also play Soul of the Forest.
Yes,
one
there
mana
just
off.
there just isn't. Because as soon as he's always off mana, even with Bloom, because Bloom especially makes it impossible to play. It'd have to be exactly 9 mana on this turn.
Well, he could do it. He could go Solar Eclipse, Bloom, and then Soul of the Forest afterwards. But
Oh, okay, yeah.
that wouldn't really work out well since Arbor Up would be unavailable.
Yeah.
Right, but the board is clear, and
Second.
JR still hasn't tilted his hand yet and shown that he has all the token synergies.
Yeah, I think at this point that Mick will have obviously he probably already had a good idea of what the deck was, but there was still like some world in which it's kind of the older ramp druid deck because all the cards he played were still in that deck until he played Scale of Onyxia.
And even some versions of just the strict ramp list are running the scale.
Yeah. That makes actually yeah, you're right. That helps that deck out particularly deal with lineups that want to go very fast into it. 3 mana for Mick. We could probably see him win. I would probably expect a Wind Chill here, maybe combined with his Sleep Breaker.
That's solid.
Could
He's probably being a little protective of the second Macaw.
yes.
I think I like your Sleep Breaker line.
Yeah, I mean, there's another line to trade instead of play the Wind Chill there.
Oh, and there he is. All right, on time.
Axe.
In hand two with the Solar Eclipse.
This is
I think-
nutty. Wait, what?
No,
Why?
I think he wants to see. Oh, okay. I can. Nope. I don't know where this is going. I think that. I thought that there was a chance maybe Mick had wanted to use the excess mana to draw a treasure right
JR.
at the same time. Or JR, excuse me.
You're okay.
And
Good.
I don't know. I think now the Kazaku-san might be just a turn too late.
Potentially, yeah. Yeah, Mick has like his hand isn't amazing, but
Yeah.
if he had
We could see
might-
totems and wind chills come out.
yeah, could see some wind chills for sure. It looks like he's just gonna try and burn through his deck or draw through his deck, I should say.
There's a bolt.
Bolt is nice for sure.
I think that this slow turn though is just what JR needed.
Yes.
And the Cenarian Ward to back him up. We'll probably see that come down here.
Yeah, Solar Cenarian is pretty good. This oh, he looks like he wants to play scale.
Yeah.
Is he looking? Well, okay, he might have been looking at scale that with Arbora, but I think this is just a better play.
I think
Urel
so
plus
too.
Mordrish, no taunts or anything else, but you know, not terrible. This does create a board for Snowfalls.
Yeah, I think it'll probably just be the studies and Snowfall Guardian.
I could see that for sure. Yeah.
Right. Guild Trader probably?
Yeah, Guild Trader's pretty good here because it's 2 spell damage. And you don't really care if it costs 3.
Right. And like next turn, Mick can just play Brucon, push another 6, slow down JR a little more, and then after that, turn 9 can be the turn to go for game.
Yeah, for sure. He's just deciding. He picks Thalnos. He might want to be able to do more. He might want to do things with more mana. He's also going to opt to not attack, which I kind of like.
Yeah. All right. Guess the weight. I feel like now you have to go for your dragon, but maybe it's the scale is just so unwieldy in this position.
Definitely.
Could be scale Arbor up. Just try to clear things off.
I guess, yeah, that can work. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it clears the board up. And well, yeah, it clears up some things.
Wow.
I wonder.
So I think that JR here is
Trying to keep extra minions on the board, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's actually not the best look. I would rather have prioritized clearing off more of Mick's minions rather than leaving more of mine.
Yeah. Because Mick could probably just play second Snowfall here and be okay.
Yeah, and I think that Mick will probably do, just slow roll it a little bit. Because if you're Mick, right, just setting up more burn is really all you need.
Because he needs to do a good chunk of damage at this point.
Yeah, he goes for the Snowfall though.
Yeah.
And now I don't think there's any choice but to deploy the Kazakhstan.
Yeah, you have to. You kind of just have to hope. I guess he doesn't. He's trying to get through so much of his deck before just going for treasures, but I wonder if that's gonna cost, because I think treasures are sometimes just so insane, especially ones that can buff single target minions very well.
Absolutely.
Like Soul of the Forest here is pretty nice.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what type of play Mick is gonna go for now. He doesn't really have a whole lot to hide from JR's board now.
Yeah, he has one more wind chill.
Yeah, he can wind chill the 9, the 8, the 10 attacker.
Yeah,
I wonder how much. I don't think he can do that much damage right now. He doesn't have the mana. He doesn't have the overdraft. Brucon isn't necessarily great here.
I'd slam the Brucon. I think that Mick has to think about winning the game.
Yeah, for sure. I can see that.
At this point, 41 health is a lot, especially with what he knows he has in hand. Like it just doesn't seem too easy. I think I would go for Brucon and do taunts and just fire.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good to me.
Because for Mick, you're not trying to do anything besides live for one more turn and go for lethal next time.
He went for the exact line that you said.
Yep. Might think about trading, but I think Mick should push it. Yeah, I like that. Gets the heal.
Yeah, because the main thing
unfortunately.
is that JR won't have a way to lethal from here, so he can sit here. So Mick can just kind of slow roll it and now push for it this turn, like you mentioned.
All right, we're gonna see probably the army knife, maybe wax rager, Book of the Dead for sure. Could be embers though.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, though, these treasures are going to be coming down just a little later than JR would like.
Yeah. JR's gonna be able to push 20 this turn.
Well,
Um,
yeah, he can
but
push
he
10.
but he is yeah, he's gonna push 10. He'll trade everything off. He will get a Urel for. Oh, he'll get
now
a. Sorry, he'll get a not Viv. That wasn't a Vivid Force. He gets a 2/2.
Right.
All right, so Mick now has to.
Well, Nick has no spell damage, which is a little awkward.
Oh, he really doesn't. He played his Thalnos already. Ooh, this is a bit. Yeah, like you said, it's awkward because now he doesn't have any. He doesn't have spell damage for his.
Right. I think we'll probably see a board clear here.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Maybe we'll see probably a landslide, frostbite into the Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
Serpent trying to clear. I think that's. Oh, and there's the fire, but the Gnomish army knife. That is humongous.
Yeah, his Mortars is just going to be able to pop through everything now.
Yep.
And JR's
Like
going
this.
to... I mean, JR would be at kind of at full health anyways, but now JR's going to be able to push 10 here.
Well, yeah. Push 10, go up to 30. I think there might have been something to be said for gnomishing the 2-1 and going to a little bit of a higher life total, but this pushes more, so I am sure
Mick's going to have to really get some good pulls here.
he does.
He got some good
Just
pulls.
what he needed.
Yes.
So, yep. See the studies. Guild Trader or Lady Vosh, both are very solid.
Yeah.
I think probably the Guild Trader, though.
Probably Guild Trader this time. Because you have a lot of low-costing stuff.
Yeah.
Realistically, he's really just missing an overdraft for the extra damage, but maybe he doesn't even need it. I don't know. I don't know how, I think he's gonna need it, but, we'll see.
Yeah. What I want to know, though, is, did JR pick the Embers? Because I think that's his out here.
I don't know if he picked Embers. I feel like he
Embers
might have.
of Ragnaros for game. And it's the Clockwork Assistant. I think that's probably the end of the line here for JR.
Probably. Unfortunate.
20. Can we count to 25 with this hand? I think the answer is yes with that Lightning Bloom, but...
It's close, yeah. Does he have an over... he doesn't have an overdraft, though, but I guess we have enough. We just have enough spell damage, right?
Right.
Like, Mick just has 3
And
spell
there's
damage
the-
minions.
and
Oh
there
my
it
gosh,
is.
this is pretty lethal.
Yeah, it's a lot of damage.
Yeah. Mick just really played this... Like, he got exactly what he needed. He got some really good...
and I
really
think
good
that...
plays and just...
Yeah, and I think he was thrown for a little bit of a loop earlier, but I think JR just gave him a lot of time and Mick capitalized.
I would agree with that, yeah. He ends up dealing 10 damage on Overload.
And that'll do it.
Yeah, congratulations to Mick on a very nice match. The Bird Shaman is just a really good bring, it seems, in general. He went with it and got himself a match win.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's no surprise that Burn Shaman is a deck that, if you're watching the Masters Tour this weekend, you're going to see a lot of. It just is so good against aggro, and unless your control deck can armor up, it can burst you down too. Just very flexible and, can adapt to any game plan. And I think that's just why strong players love it so much.
All right, so I have to see if Mick wants to do an interview. I'll message him on Discord. Okay, yeah, he messaged me in here. Yeah. Awesome. So we will bring our good friend Mick in for a quick little interview. We don't have anything else going on tonight, but
How's it going, guys?
it's going well. Congratulations on winning the match, and well played.
Thank you.
Oh, it's pretty awesome to see the Burn Shaman just tear through everything. You were a man on a mission with that deck.
Yeah, I think it was a mistake to not ban this deck. I think it's the best deck in the meta right now, and I think I proved that tonight.
Absolutely. And, I think that the only thing that, like, from our end looked a little bit unexpected was, I think, JR had gone really heavy on his token game plan with the Spell Druid. And, I think, like, there might have just been a chance when those macaws came down a little bit early for him to squeak through. But, you were able to close the door pretty effectively. What were you kind of keeping in mind? And, like, what was your big macro game plan for that match?
For that match, I think it was my worst match of all because I didn't know what Druid it was at first. There's a lot of Druid archetypes out there. So I was kind of mixed up between Spell Druid or maybe Ram Druid or maybe even Aggro Druid. So it was really hard to find what was the optimal game plan in that match, especially.
For sure. And yeah, I guess also, how have you been enjoying the mini set? Do you think Anixia's Lair is going to shake things up for the Masters Tour this weekend, or what do you kind of expect? Do you think it's a big meta player?
I don't think so. I think the old cards are way better than the new cards. Yes, it's fun to have some higher roll potential, but I don't think it's going to be good enough to be something consistent to beat the new decks, the whole decks that we have before. So
Yeah, well, there you have it. I mean, I'm still looking forward to testing some more, and I feel like there are a couple cards that might be winners, but overall, yeah, I don't think most of those 35 cards are going to change all that much.
yeah, exactly. The only card that I found really interesting that was really good is the SI7 card in Quest Road. I think that's a really strong addition to the deck.
I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I know I've been having a little bit of success with the Razorglaive Sentinel and Demon Hunter, the 4-drop that lets you draw all the cards. That's been pretty effective in Quest, but I don't know if it's real or just, early days and, playing against unrefined stuff. Who knows?
Who knows? But I mean, it seems like a fun card. You can maybe draw your whole deck really quickly, so maybe there's something to do with that.
Yeah. And also, with this week, we brought the regular season to a close. How do you feel like it went?
I mean, I think we're already qualified for
Oh, your team is locked
playoffs.
number 1 seed, like no doubt. Nobody can pass you.
But yeah, so it's cool that that even though we face GR team, I think we're both qualified for playoffs.
Yeah,
We're lucky.
yeah. Both. I think both of you will make playoffs. There's no way that EPMBN get kicked out of playoffs.
Okay, yeah, so that's It's gonna be fun to see if we can face each other again in playoffs.
Well,
Definitely,
might be.
definitely.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot better in Hero series than Legacy. Legacy, it's been a struggle, but happy to see that we're still doing well in at least one series.
Excellent. Well, hopefully we might see that playoff match back on here if you got to go up against JR again.
Yeah, that would be fun.
All right, man. It's been such an interesting hero series. I I don't think that was necessarily my expected result, but we were discussing before, and we really liked the burn shaman bring in the match.
Yeah. First game was so close though.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you could really see it from your side, but on his 9 mana turn, JR was actually only 2 off lethal. It was
Was
it
it
was
the Wait, was it the Quest Rogue? I don't remember who
Nah,
it
the
was.
Quest
Quest
Hunter. Oh, it was
Hunter.
Quest Hunter.
Oh, Quest Hunter. Okay.
Yeah, he was very
Yeah,
close.
yeah. I mean, I was really surprised. I was never expecting Quest Hunter. I was never expecting Quest Rogue.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. Like the ban was strange. I think I think yeah, I think the ban just didn't work out.
Yeah, I
I
think
can see that for sure. Yeah.
yeah, I think maybe if he had taken game 1, things could have gone differently, but there's a reason why Burn Shaman's so good and
Yeah.
get through anything.
Exactly, yeah. I feel like you can just scam any matchup. Like Caverns turn one, for example, is just
Oh
gonna
yeah,
beat
Caverns
anything,
turn
right?
one, the classic.
Yeah.
It's the best feeling in Hearthstone right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for playing on stream and for doing this interview. It's always
Yeah,
nice to watch you play. Always nice to watch JR play as well. So thank you to both guys. Thank you both guys for coming on.
yeah. Thanks to you guys to cast.
It's our
No problem, Nick.
pleasure.
It's our pleasure.
All right. Well, we have nothing else going on tonight, so I guess we're gonna close out from here, and we'll um we'll just say see you later, everybody. It's been a blast. Thank you, Dankus Dad, for casting with me as always, and to everybody out there, tune in to Friday Night Fights tomorrow. We should have some pretty good stuff going on, and we'll see everyone tomorrow night. Until then, have a great night, everybody. Stay safe.
Have a good one. Thanks for watching.